Good evening, everyone. This is Martin from Reform coming at you from the Bayard Market in the heart of Ottawa. I wanted to give you some tips and tricks for strengthening your low back today, because this is one of the most important things that anybody can learn who lives with back pain, whether you keep getting acute back pain, you keep throwing your back out, you live with more chronic back pain like achy or stiff. But the whole thing is your back shouldn't cause you pain if it's properly managed. And I will say that having a low back with muscles that are long enough so they're not tight, they're strong enough to support your spine, and lastly, having your spine well adjusted so it's moving well are the three keys to living with a pain-free low back. So I've shot a few videos on adjustments. You can scroll through our channel and see those. I've put a few stretches up. I believe there's going to be more coming in the upcoming weeks, so do stay tuned. But today I'm primarily going to focus on how to strengthen your back. Okay? So right now, if this is me sitting here, my spine looks something like this. Looking at this from the side, we see these three curves in the spine. Now, I wanted to show you this view because, of course, if you think about your stomach, your abdominals, they're wrapping around this way. You have your six-pack right down the front. And then what a lot of people don't understand is you have incredibly important small muscles sitting right down the back here. And they're all in charge of different functions, and what I'm going to teach you today is how to strengthen all of them, which in the research is the way to get a strong spine. Okay? The very first thing, and I think the most important thing to start off with today is if you're rounded, you shouldn't do exercises completely rounded. You shouldn't do your exercises completely arched, but you should do all your exercise in what we call a neutral spine, which is just the spine you're going to have if you're sitting up really straight. Okay, so you're on your sit bones, you're on your hip bones, you're in a nice tall alignment, and that's where I'd like to see your low back going through these three exercises I'm about to show you. And then the second thing is, once you have good alignment, what I'd love you to practice is what we call abdominal bracing. There's been some controversy in the years, but bracing is this act of turning all the muscles on in your low back. And the analogies I use in our classes in the office is, what would you do if someone was about to punch you in the stomach? Okay? Right? Think about that and do it. Right? So if someone is going to punch you, you're going to kind of do this big, deep clench of your stomach muscles to protect your insides, protect yourself. So when you're clenched like that, all your muscles are on, and that's something I'd like you to think about as we go through these exercises, okay? So the very first exercise I'm going to show you is what we call a lumbar friendly crunch. These are not the crunches that sometimes you see in schools, and definitely not the ones we were taught in school, which are actually quite bad for the low back. So when you're flat on your back, you want to make sure you can get a hand under your low back, and again, that just means there's that nice little curve in the lumbar spine. You're going to drop one of your legs straight down, okay, keeping that curve in the back, and then this is where I'd like you to think about that clench, that absolutely turning all those muscles on at once. And then from here, you can cross your arms across your chest and just very slowly come up with the shoulders. So your shoulders are going to come up, and you're going to feel those muscles work really hard, and you're going to come back down. Okay? Follow. One more time. Just slow up from the shoulders, hold for a second, come back down, and of course you're going to flip your legs. Okay? So your one leg's always extended to keep your pelvis flat on the ground. Your back has this little arch so you can get a hand under there. And it's not a full sit-up, but it's a very, very short crunch. So I hope you all got that. And a lot of these I like to do more endurance sets. So if you think about working out in the gym, you know, people who do really heavy weights, you know, 1, 2, 3 times, they're going for that like 1 rep max. But what we need for the spine is more endurance. So what we want to do for any endurance set is do sets of 12 to 15, okay? So this first exercise, you're going to do 12 to 15 with each leg extended, and you're going to feel a really good workout happening through your core, okay? Second one is, they call this the bird dog, and because ultimately you're going to end up, and I never understood this until someone showed me that it's like I'm not sure what the dogs are called, but the dogs that we're hunting that kind of go on point, birding dogs, I guess. But the concept there is these bird dog exercises are great to stabilize your core. So if you can think about getting in a position with vertical, okay? And again, your curve is in your low back, so you're not rounded or you're not arched, you're right in the middle. Okay. Again, you're going to really focus on squeezing your core nice and tight. So again, if someone was going to punch you, how do you react? And then the first thing I would ask you to do is the simplest option. It's simply just bringing a leg back off the floor. And if you can see what I'm doing, I'll actually use my other knee so you can visualize. I'm not lifting it up so my hips rock. I'm just trying to gently slide that knee back. And you're going to bring it up as high as you can without twisting your hips and low back. Okay? So some people can get right up to parallel to the ground, but the goal is just to go up nice and high, abs tight. Because of course what's happening here is that leg is trying to twist your body, but your core muscles are forced to hold your low back strong. Okay? What you can do is you can do the same sets, which is that 3 times 15 on each side. And once you're very good at using just the legs, simply you're going to do the same thing with the leg, but you're going to use the opposite arm, and you're going to do the exact same motion, and you're going to try and get both up to parallel to the ground. Okay? Hold for 1 second, come back down, and you're going to repeat on the other side. Okay? So far so good. I hope everyone's getting something out of this. I'm getting this workout in for sure. And the last one is actually, I saved it for last because I think this is the most powerful exercise you can do for your core. And everyone knows this. I'm just going to hopefully tweak this a little bit to make it work better for you. So side planks can be done on the elbow, or they can be done on the outstretched arm. They can also be done with knees bent like this, or feet extended. And for today's purposes, I'm going to start with your knees bent and on an elbow. And the trick to this is you're going to lift your pelvis off the ground, like so. You're going to try and get everything in a straight line, knees, pelvis, chest. But then the tricky thing here is pushing your hips forward so your knees, hips, and shoulder are in line if I was looking from an airplane. Okay? And once you're up here, that's your side plank, and you're going to feel that right away. Every single person, as soon as you get up, those deep spinal muscles are forced to work. Okay? And of course, once you get really proficient at this exercise, you can do, I think the most advanced option that I like is just a straight up plank like this. And that is obviously very hard on the shoulder, but definitely works the abs a lot more. So that side plank I love. Side plank is not a 3 times 15 like an endurance set, but it's much more of an endurance exercise where what I'd love to see is somebody comes up in a plank and holds it for as long as they can in good form. When you get fatigued, you're either going to move out of that position because you're tired, or you're going to notice your body shaking a little bit, trying to stabilize, and that's an indication that those supporting muscles are fatigued and you need to take a break. Okay, so I'm just going to show you, because I think it makes a lot of sense when you understand how a spine works and why you do these exercises, because the whole thing is we want to get you strong in your muscles supporting your spine, but without causing any further damage. And that's one big problem I run into with people who've done, I'll say the wrong exercises, I'll put them in quotations, but bad exercises for years, they keep exacerbating the problems because they're not following the current concepts and keeping a back strong. So number one exercise was on your back, if you remember. You had a curve in your spine, a leg straight to anchor your pelvis, and as you came up here, your abs were getting, your core was getting a tremendous amount of work being done in those muscles. Okay? Now, if you can envision, when I was on my hands and knees, we kind of look like this, right? And that's why I said when you lift a leg out back, your legs are heavy. They're big, muscly things with knees and feet, and they're going to actually try and twist your spine. And as long as you're keeping your core tight, that weight is going to make sure your abs get a good workout. You get these stabilizing muscles working. Okay. And then very simply, side planks, of course, as soon as you come up, those deep muscles are forced to work. So I hope you got something out of this. I mean, these are kind of staple exercises in anybody with back pain. And so, the three keys to keeping a healthy back are you need to stretch some of those back muscles. And sometimes in more severe cases, you need to roll with a ball or a roller because we need to get the tension out of the muscular layer. We need those muscles in the back then to be strong, to be able to turn on when you need them, turn off when you don't. I think that makes sense. And then thirdly, you need your spine to move properly. So if you sit all day and you develop subluxation, so spinal stress, a misalignment or a shift of the vertebrae here, and it gets stuck like that, well, sometimes your stretching and strengthening doesn't correct that. So that's where the specific adjustment comes in this office. So I hope that little clip helped you on your journey to keep pain-free and have your back work for you, not against you. So this is Martin signing off from Reform. Share this with anybody who you think should learn more about keeping their back strong and healthy.